So all of the guys I was in with were basically drug dealers.
Did you have to pick your race pretty early on?
It's an interesting question.
Was there any of that being like?
Yeah, so my first day at this prison called Fort Dix, this guy named Glass comes up to me.
They call it Fort Dix for a reason. That's I'm the reason.
Well, Glass shows up, and Glass is from like West Virginia. He's a meth dealer / meth head. He's like, "Hey, Shkreli." I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "I got a pack of wolves ready to go at all times. You gonna join up?" And I was like, "No."
Can I not? Yeah, is no an option?
Right. Well, that's the funny thing. I was like, sort of like engaging him, and this isn't a person you should engage. So I was like, well, like, I don't know what's wrong with like black people. Like my whole room is black guys. Like we're all friends.
Oh, you're saying that?
Yeah. And
you're like, yo, I'm co-owner of the Wu-Tang Clan, dude.
Yeah, exactly. and he was like, let me tell you something about prison. Y'all need to understand something. When shit hits the fan, there's only 3 colors: black, brown, and us.
I thought you were gonna say blue.
I was just like, listen, man, I'm gonna take my chances with my roommates. I think I'm okay here.
Right. So you hung out with black dudes in prison. That was kind of the squad.
All over. I mean, everybody. But the point is, like, you had that racism of like,
and he never bugged you again. He never came back, and he was like,
it's funny because I saw him all the time, and he had like a couple goons with him that were like, and I was like, I don't know, what do you even mean? Like, do you want me to like do? Like...
Yeah, do I have to do stuff? I'm kind of like, I'm pretty high profile. I might not be the guy to do your job.
Do you need some spreadsheets? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you become the accountant for the fucking white supremacists. You're like, I'll make you a deal. I'll do the Klan's accounting.
Oh, I actually did do a little accounting for a Bloods group. A CFO, associate CFO for.
Come on.
Interim CFO. Yeah.
Interim. Yeah. You don't want the
like cigarette accounting title. On like commissary and stuff.
I would just advise on. I wouldn't keep ledgers and books, but yeah, I mean, I would advise. We'd have meetings in my room, and I would just like scoot my chair in. It'd be like
turn it around backwards.
Shkreli's with us, and it was this funny group which is now defunct called the Mac Ballers, and it was there were like 10 Mac Ballers in my room, so I was like, fuck it,
Oh, you were in a big room with all the people?
Yeah, it was 12. Well, it actually wasn't that big. It wasn't like a hangar because I was in a prison that was more like a hangar. This was a 12-man room. So
that sucks.
Yeah, it's not as bad as you might think. It's a six bunk beds.
It's like summer camp.
Is that eventually it feels like camp?
It actually is totally like summer camp for thugs. It's actually.
And those guys liked you? Was there anyone who ever had a specific bone to pick?
No.
I mean, he bought the Wu-Tang album.
Well, that doesn't hurt, but I think the biggest thing is being anti-government. Like everybody in there is like super anti-government. So
right, you were like they see you as wronged by the government,
and they've seen me as like when I did the whole Congress thing. They're like, man, we all wish we could go to Congress and be like, this and that, and that's what literally every prisoner and criminal's dream is to like say whatever he wants to the judge or say whatever he wants to the senator or the DA or the AUSA or whatever. And like, they can't really, and they know enough not to do that. Right. But they also know, that they'd love to do it if they could. I've met a few people who have done that, and like, they'll get twice the jail time. Like if you tell a judge, like, your honor, with all due respect, your decision was wrong and you're an idiot and, you shouldn't have done this and blah, blah, blah. I'm sick of this courtroom and this is a disgrace. This is kangaroo court. Like you'll get 20 years instead of 10. I mean,
it's kind of messed up if you think about it. There's that much like discretion in it.
Yeah. It's like the judge has a bad day or you remind them of their like ex-husband or ex-wife and they go, fuck you. Like just
totally. Like it's funny because I drew what a lot of people say was a really good judge. And I think that's true. And I got 7 years, but there are other judges that are giving me 20, 25 in a heartbeat. And like, it's chilling to say, because it's almost like you can't even believe it, but we got a lucky draw of the nicest judge in the whole courthouse. And like, there were 20 other judges, like a murderer's row of like judges who are like going to be like, yeah, let's prove that this prick isn't bigger than the the government or bigger than the law.
So that's why everyone always pleads out a lot of times too, right?
Definitely. I mean, that's the other funny thing is that if you even go to trial, which is your constitutional right, that's held against you.
Yeah. And it's like, most people can't afford it.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do it, you're going to get a lawyer that's appointed to you, which actually some of those lawyers are actually fantastic. What's funny though, what's difficult, it's not funny, it's sad, is that so many of the prisoners and inmates don't have any kind of understanding of like, this is a professional person who's trying to help you. There's always this conspiratorial thing of like, oh, well, they're working for the government and, they're going to screw me anyway. And, ultimately.
Or they just, some of them, I can obviously see you go, you're like, he doesn't know the details of your case. You're like, oh, you give zero shits.
Right.
This is a train something. What do you call them? Railroad. I'm getting railroaded.
Getting railroaded. Like you feel like the government, first of all, your life's falling apart anyway, right? Like you just got raided by the FBI.
Not in a good place.
Yeah, you may have been denied bail. The one person who's trying to help you has got 18 other cases, is not going to really pay attention to your case that hard. Probably just going to tell you to plead out. This could be your 5th case. Like it's a very bad cycle of shitstorm. But I did meet a lot of crazy people, a lot of really funny people in prison. Like there are a lot of natural comedians.
I feel like there'd be a lot of funny people in that scenario.
Well, in fact, like that's the major pastime in prison is we call it bidding. So like we would just like, I'd go to like your guys' cell, for instance, and I just like fucking open a bag of popcorn and just talk to you for 3 hours, telling war stories about like crime or anything.
Everyone's just talking shit all day long.
All day long.
And we should let them do podcasts. They should like.
There are, my understanding.
Was there anyone with like illegal phones doing TikTok videos like you see? Doesn't that seem like you get caught so easily though?
You do. And there is a podcast. I think it's called, I forgot what it's called, but it might be the room number. Like our room number is like 318 or something. And like,
that's very bait.
Yeah. So like room XYZ is, there's a podcast out there right now. That's a weekly podcast from prison.
I mean, all you need is any like basic smartphone and like the Anchor app, and you can straight up just like do it pretty easy.
But don't they just come raid it and shut it down?
Well, they have to. Well, the thing is like,
you gotta figure it out.
They gotta figure it out. And like with the TikToks, that's way more bait because like I would see TikToks where it's like some guy's in his cell and you go like, you're showing your face. But if it's just audio, that would be a hard thing to pinpoint where this audio. Like, there's a really popular.
Well, there's his name
podcast.
after their room number. So
well, I'm saying or whatever. I'm sure that room number exists in prisons all over though. Like that specific thing, right? It'd still be so hard to, unless they're just giving away all that info.
Yeah, I kind of want to do a call-in show and be like, any prisoners out there, call in.
Yeah, I do a call-in show. I actually do one.
Yeah, get the prisoners to call in. And yeah, because I guess there's like a lot of people in there that were, musicians or, trying to be in entertainment or something like that, right? Like there's got to be like a ton of rappers, right?
Everybody's a rapper. Everybody.
Yeah, dude, I can imagine.
This one guy, Bo Cash. Bo Cash came. I was in MDC for a layover, and Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. It's a high security, maximum security jail. It's not a prison.
Is that where Ghislaine Maxwell was?
She was either there or MCC. I think she was. Yeah, she was MDC. That's right.
Okay. Yeah, I think she was there. Yeah.
Yep. So there's only 2 jails, federal prisons in New York. There's MCC in Brooklyn. That's where Epstein died. And then there's MDC where I think R. Kelly and Ghislaine and I was there. And
is
so
R. Kelly, would he be in general population?
That's a tough one. Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was just like if you're famous, you don't go to that.
No.
Where are you supposed to go?
It takes a lot to be segregated into protective custody.
Mainly pedophile stuff, is that?
PC. So it's funny. I went to PC for a few months, not voluntarily, and I was really upset because, like,
it's boring.
It's very boring. GP is actually kind of fun, and it's like a party. It's like a weird party. It's not a party you want to be at. Don't get me wrong, but like, you got to put yourself in the prisoner's mind state. Like, your goal is to make jail as entertaining and fun as possible.
Yeah.
And like, when you put your mind to something, you can do it. And so like these guys find a way, and when I say these guys, I'm firmly including myself, find a way to like keep this thing as exciting and interesting as possible. And sometimes that'll include a little violence, but nothing heavy. It often will include like a lot of like jawboning, like people just, talking shit, yelling, planning, but like at the end of the day, everybody hugs it out. I mean, sometimes they don't, but generally speaking, it's the least.
You
violent.
never had to fight. It wasn't like immediately had to fight.
Like I was starving for action at one point or another. I was just like, this is fucking retarded. Because like I would see some big guy like what the hell is that dude's name? I'm trying to remember a couple of the actual people, but Big Ree. Big Ree would just always talk shit and always like huff and puff. And he was huge, like a scary guy. But he's pretty fat, but still like, gigantic guy. And Big Ree would always walk around the hallways and like just yell at people like, man, you fucking you're this or that, blah, blah, blah. And one guy who was near was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? And I was like, just watch right now. And like somebody eventually was like, shut the fuck up, and he was like, my bad.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was just such like a, like such a weird environment where like nobody actually wants to fight because you end up going to the hole. You end up losing.
Right. That's huge. Yeah, in Oz, they're fighting every 2 seconds, which is
TV,
There's no guy with that BC with the small hat.
Well, it's funny because there's 4 levels to this prison thing. So there's the camps, which I unfortunately didn't get to go to. That's what you're talking about when you said like white collar prison and stuff like that. I wish I could have gone there.
Yeah, you'd think that you'd be getting to go there.
That's like where Conrad Black went.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that because like you were so like a high profile? We're making an example of you. Were saying you're not going to the good prison.
Pretty much, and yeah, it sucked. So I had to go to the low security, which is pretty like much very easy going in terms of the people there, but it's just not great facilities. Like it's very still restricted.
But people aren't there for life for the most part.
You can't be actually.
So that's probably the biggest reason, right? Like is that the biggest separation? If people are there for life, they get wild.
Yeah, you have nothing to lose if you're there for a medium. So the mediums and the penitentiary, and then there's actually a level above that, which is called the ADX. That's where Chapo, Ted Kaczynski, like those.
It's like the Supermax.
It's called the Supermax.
Yeah.
That's like.
You don't want to be there as a
indescribable.
normal.
Like
I've seen the shows like on you see the shows where they're inside the Supermax and they're like insane and everybody's like flooding their thing all the time and like it's just
yeah. We did a little of that too, but anyway, there's a lot of ways to fuck with the prison guards. So they generally are actually really nice.
We know it. One,
yeah, we know one. A guy who's like the booker
for the Stand.
For the Stand Comedy Club. He's just like that's his other
great guy. Yeah.
A ton of dudes.
He actually met a couple. There's a couple of guys that he was their guard, and then they always wanted to do comedy, and they got out and started doing comedy, and they work at his club now.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, that's actually what the goal of recidivism, reduction is. Like, I think I don't want to go to soapbox or be political about it, but it does suck to go to prison. Like I'm going to be good, right? Like I'm wealthy and young and educated, but like the guy who's
pussy getting thrown at you.
the guy who's been in prison 8 times, like what's he going to do? Like, there's nothing he knows other than crime. And it just, it sucks, it's, like I taught a lot of guys how to read and write. I taught a lot of guys math. I taught a lot of guys, whatever I could teach them. That's
like a montage in a movie.
It is, but like for me, it was like really emotional too, because it was like I couldn't fathom it. Like I come from Brooklyn, I don't come from wealth. My parents are immigrants, but like I just couldn't even even understand how there could be people that didn't know Python or didn't know didn't learn this or that in math or whatever. And I was just like, this is crazy, and so many of those guys in prison are actually quite smart, like in IQ and knowledge have like nothing to do with each other, right? Like,
and you can tell they're like quick and stuff.
Yeah,
like
they're real quick, and you're like, man, you could have been like, you could have done whatever you wanted. And half the time is it's a personality problem. Like there are like my first monkey was this crazy guy named Marley. He was this Jamaican dude, and like, yeah, I came to learn like a lot about Marley and how like the amazing variety of crime that he's committed in his life is just like the longest rap sheet you can imagine. And I was like discussing his case and stuff. And I was like, yeah, man, I think you're going to get like 10 to 15 years. He's like, that's nothing, man. I'm supposed to be dead already. I'm like,
right.
Like that's the mindset.
Yeah. And he takes his shirt off and he shows me, or lifts it up and he shows me like all these bullet wounds. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, me got in gunfight, man. 2 guy didn't make it. I made it. And they indicted me on the bed. Well, I was boobs in me. And I was like, God damn. Like, and he would just tell me these crazy stories. And I'd be like, this guy just decided to take what like we think of as a normative life and just be like, no, I'm not doing literally any of that. I'm going to make $50,000 a week selling heroin. He told me about, he would go to like a club and like tip waitresses $1,000. And I was like, Marley, let me explain something. Like, the richest people don't do that, like at all, ever. It's like, me no, man, me no. I think like for a lot of these guys, like, and again, there's no specific racial orientation. It's like every hardcore criminal looks at it and says, instead of doing a 10-year normie life, I'm going to live a crazy, awesome for that, whatever.
Yeah, rock star version.
Awesome. Yeah, but like the Scarface life for 1 year, and I'm going to have 9 shitty years. And it kind of is going to average out to you doing your average show job for 10 years. I mean, it's more or less the same shit.
I'll have the same amount of emotional input and highs and lows in that 1 year.
Arguably better is if I don't get caught, if I somehow don't, get
gambler's mindset too.
It's a gambler's mindset, yeah.
Fellas, this is the New Clips channel. Right now we're at 3K. Hit us with a subscribe. Let's get those numbers up. Very much appreciated. Let's get to 5K at the very least. All right. Thank you. Peace.